Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host Cindy.
Hello, Jason.
Hi, Cindy. Today we're going to be talking about mini-split air conditioning systems, and we'd like to thank Luke Hines for liking and sharing the podcast. And we had an interview with Andrew Armstrong from Fujitsu. In ancient Egypt, homes were built with wind catchers. So these were vents built into the house, and they would face the most common direction of the wind. And so these vents were angled down into the living space, and they had openings on the opposite end of their house, and this allowed the air to come through the house, up and out, so it gave a cooling effect on people's skin, and it also released the hot air.
Okay.
Amazing how they would design houses, isn't it?
Can you imagine how many bugs are in the house?
That wouldn't shake anybody from England. In 1758, Benjamin Franklin was working on a system of cooling by evaporating highly volatile liquids. And so in some of their experiments, they were able to lower the temperature from 64 degrees Fahrenheit down to 7 degrees. Wild, huh?
Yes.
In the 1970s, in Europe and Asia, the mini-split systems became popular, and a mini-split air conditioning unit is similar to a central air conditioning split system. But rather than using your furnace fan and ductwork through the house, most mini-split systems are going to be ductless. So you have an outdoor unit with your compressor, and then you have an indoor unit with the evaporator and a blower.
Is that why it's called a split?
Right, exactly. So
Why is it called a mini split?
Because it's not as big as like a central air conditioner. So most of these indoor units are going to be mounted on the wall, and they're going to cool one room or one area, like a window or a sleeve air conditioner.
Are they as big as a window unit?
So most of these, like if you had a sleeve unit coming through your wall, it's probably going to be about as wide and deep, but it's going to probably be about half the height of it. So it's
sleeve, you mean like a wall unit?
Right, like a wall unit, like something going through your wall. So it's going to not be as tall, and it's going to just be sitting there. You don't get that sound because the compressor's outside. All the noise and everything is really outside.
I think I'm going deaf for my wall unit.
Yeah, they can be loud, man. So these are usually about 30% more energy efficient. You don't need earplugs. And with most manufacturers, one outdoor unit can run up to 4 indoor units.
Like mounted in different rooms, not like...
Right, correct.
It's not portable.
Right. Right, so one outdoor compressor, you're going to be running your electric and your refrigerant lines to 4 different individual indoor units, depending on the system. And then you can have a control for each one. So each one is going to be controlled independently. So again, you're saving a lot of energy. Rather than turning your central air up to cool one room and your whole house is being cooled off, you can just use enough energy to cool one area or one room.
So it's like the electric and whatever lines.
Refrigerant lines?
Yeah. Anything else?
Get a drain coming off them.
Are they just loose on the outside of the house?
So,
or are they in the wall? What's happening?
Right, so you're cutting a small hole through the wall.
Small?
So around 3 inches.
That's not that small.
So you're going from your outdoor unit and you're running your refrigerant and your electric. You're going to have a drain line coming out, and it runs from the outside. So you have a cover on the outside, or you're running it through plastic channels.
Okay.
And that hole that you put in the wall, when you have a wall-mounted unit, you're just putting it right over that hole.
Okay, so
and
you
your
don't
lines
have to see
are
it.
right. Yeah, so very simple to install, especially for a professional. A couple manufacturers have air conditioning only mini splits, but most of these systems are going to have a heat pump, so you get
We're going
energy.
to have to do an episode about heat pumps because I don't understand them at all.
Right.
Do you?
Yes, of course.
Liar.
So you can get energy efficient cooling in the summer and additional energy efficient heating in the winter.
Okay.
And if you have a house with electric heat, a mini split system with these heat pumps, you're going to use about 60% less energy for this additional heating.
So you could add this to any type of system?
Right. Doesn't matter what your heating or cooling is now. You can add this.
Because my parents have central air now.
Okay.
But my dad and my grandmother are always cold.
Okay.
So they never turn down the air. So my poor mom is hot all the time.
All right. Right.
So
she could add a mini split. And what's interesting is you can buy a system just for one room. So you can have one outdoor unit and one small indoor unit, or you can get a system that uses multiple indoor units. And that's something to think about. If you're thinking about, hey, I want to add one system now and maybe down the road, I want to add it to another area or zone. If I'm thinking about maybe adding on, a workshop in the garage, I can add cooling in there later. Or if I'm going to build a sunroom one day, it would be nice to have that flexibility. With most mini-split systems, the wall-mounted indoor units are going to be the most common, and they're usually around 30 to 42 inches wide, 12 inches tall, and 6 to 10 inches deep.
Okay.
You can get floor-mounted. So this is like a wall-mounted, but it's low on the wall or just over the baseboard. The problem with this...
Why is it called floor-mounted?
Yeah, it's just down low. It's not really on the floor. Almost on the floor mounted. The thing with this, you have to be careful not to block the airflow with furniture.
Okay.
You have ceiling cassettes. So with this, only the grill itself is visible. So this is really good for drop ceilings. So you're putting it above that. And with these ceiling cassettes, usually these will have a pump where you've got to pump the condensation that's collected into, and push it outside.
Gravity.
Gravity is much better. I like the wall mount. You can get concealed ducts. So this is an indoor unit, and this is installed either in a closet or a conditioned attic or a crawl space, and it uses short ductwork to a grill. Grill is spelled Grille, like if you have a screening or a grill for like a mini split.
Okay.
I always thought everything was just Grill. So Grill is just for cooking or to cook. You got to add the E for screening. I think I missed that in grade school. The coolest wall-mounted mini split I saw is from LG. So it's called their Art Cool Gallery. So this has a frame on the face of it to hold art. So you can position this. So this you would mount where the
Not
best
on the floor.
The best position for the height for your artwork, and you put a piece of art in it, so it just looks like a picture on the wall, like
but
maybe about 6
cool.
inches. Right. When you're comparing systems, I would look at 120 volts versus 240, especially if you're thinking about putting this in yourself or having a professional do it. And your 240 volt are generally your larger systems. I would look at the programmable times and remote controls available. You can get remote access on smart devices, so you can turn your air down before coming home, or you can check the status while you're away. Compare the air filters and the maintenance. Some have multiple filters or electrostatic filters, so if you have allergies or pets, it can really improve the air quality. Mitsubishi has Catechin filters, and these are
You're not going to spell that?
So Catechin, Catechin. These filters use a bioflavonoid that's found in green tea to kill microorganisms and odors.
No way.
So if you have smokers in the house or if you have pets that cause odor, these can last up to 10 years, and you just wash them off to clean them, so they're very easy to maintain. You can get platinum deodorizing filters. So this uses nanotechnology to absorb the smallest particles in the air. Interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Fujitsu has a Catechin
How do you spell that?
Fujitsu, Fujitsu.
Duh.
So their Catechin pre-filter, they use polyphenols from apples to kill microorganisms, and these can last up to 10 years. They also have an ion deodorizing filter that uses ultrafine particle ceramics to break down particles that could cause odor.
Nice.
I would check the system limits. 4 indoor units are common with multi-zone systems. Some can go up to 5 or 8 units, though, so you might want to add units in the future.
Right.
There's inverter and rotary compressors. So a rotary compressor is like a traditional central air compressor. When it turns on, it's on full power. And with an inverter compressor, it only uses enough power to do the job. So it could be drawing 50% of the energy of a rotary compressor. So you're going to be saving money. And most of the companies are going to inverters. So I would take a look at that. I wouldn't want to get the older technology. Right. Energy Star units are the most energy efficient, and some utility companies will actually give you a rebate for purchasing Energy Star. Some rebates are $1,000. And then look at the SEER rating. It's SEER, and that's the Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio. The higher the number, the more energy efficient it is. Now the minimum SEER is 13. So the U.S. Department of Energy was giving tax credits for upgrading your air conditioning units. If you have a 16 SEER or higher, they were giving $1,500 on parts and labor.
Wow.
But these change over time. So I would check with your CPA or check with the air conditioner dealer to see what credits are available. You want to make sure you're sizing your unit properly, especially if you're installing this yourself. And each indoor unit is going to have a BTU rating that you have to match to the outdoor unit. And for multiple indoor units, you need to match that total to the outdoor unit.
Okay.
So a general rule of thumb, 6,000 BTUs will cool an area around 150 to 250 square feet. 12,000 BTUs, 450 to 600 square feet, and 24,000 BTUs around 1,000 square feet. If you're hiring a pro and like a specific brand, you can get a certified installer for that brand. So they're trained by the company and they're going to make sure it's installed properly, and that's definitely going to protect your warranty.
Okay.
If you hire somebody with a NATE certification, so it's NATE, it's the North American Technician Excellence Certification. They've passed a very high level of training for technical knowledge and experience.
Okay.
So they actually make them take tests so that they're certified. Or you can get somebody from the ACCA, it's the Air Conditioning Contractors of America, or RSES, the Refrigeration Services Engineers Society. And these accreditations are nice because you know that they're technically trained.
Right.
If you're hiring a pro, they should be using the manual J load calculation.
Not just guessing.
Yeah, rather than rule of thumb. So this is a program where they're analyzing the local weather, the temperature, the climate. They're looking at the size of your house, the shape of it. They're actually concerned about the orientation of your home, the U factor of the windows and doors, room sizes. If you're putting one of the units in a kitchen, how often do you use your range and oven, the amount of people that are usually in the room. So they really get a feel for how many BTUs your unit should be, because if you undersize your unit, it can't cool properly and it's going to use more energy trying to get it to a cool temperature. If you oversize it, it can cool off so quickly that it doesn't pull enough humidity out of the air, so you get this clammy feeling, and then it's going to short cycle, which will actually shorten the life of the unit. Some top-rated mini-split companies: Mitsubishi, MITSUBISHI, Frederick, so it's spelled FRIEDRICH, Panasonic, LG, Fujitsu, FUJITSU, and we had an interview with Andy from Fujitsu. Andy, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Jay?
Good. One question Cindy and I had is, how energy efficient are the mini-split systems?
Mini split systems are some of the most efficient products on the market today to cool your home, to heat and cool your home. We're up to 33 SCER now with Fujitsu products. So we can squeeze that cooling out of the outside and bring it inside and make your home comfortable at a very, very inexpensive rate. And that's just one of the reasons we're very efficient, JC. Another reason is zoning. Traditional central air system cools your entire house either on or off, and that means you're putting a lot of cooling into rooms you don't live in.
Right.
And we as Americans live in some pretty big houses, only tend to spend our time in 2 or 3 rooms. With the Fujitsu product, we have the ability just to cool the room you're in. We even go so far as to put motion sensors in, so when you walk into the room, it brings that room down to temperature, and when you leave, it turns it back to that setback position, so you're not cooling spaces you're not using.
Wow, very interesting. I like that.
Yeah, and another way we improve your efficiency is any traditional system in a home has a lot of ductwork that's in the attic or the basement, and there's always duct loss. The installation crews do a really good job trying to minimize that by wrapping it in insulation and putting mastic on it to make sure there's no leaking. But there's always a certain percentage of heating or cooling that leaks into that attic space. And we don't have that problem. We're putting the cool air right into your space with a wall-mounted unit, a floor-mounted unit, or even an air handler that just has a very short amount of ductwork, so you don't have as much opportunity for duct loss. So 3 or 4 different ways that you can really reduce your energy bills by moving to a Fujitsu ductless system.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're very proud of what we're doing on energy efficiency, but as always is the case, nobody would have heating air conditioning if it wasn't for comfort.
Right.
And we do that very well as well, and we're focused on a lot of new products that really get you the comfort you need based on your particular home. And a good Fujitsu contractor can come in and help you design exactly what's right for you, whether it's setting up cooling for that sunroom that's just never really gotten the right cooling, or maybe it's your master bedroom that's upstairs and always has been 2 or 3 degrees warmer than the downstairs,
Right.
and that's never a good solution. So some very good spot solutions where we can put in a single system. Just takes a 3-inch hole through the wall as opposed to major renovation like you'd have with ductwork and full systems. So we can put a unit outside, get that unit hung on the wall, and make that master bedroom very comfortable.
Interesting. So this is something you could add to an existing system.
Absolutely, absolutely, and really, rather than doing that complete change out and investing all those dollars, just solving that single room that's a problem. Or there's so many cases in the U.S. where there's no cooling at all in a home, right. And maybe you just want that one room comfortable at night, and have never been able to get the humidity out or get the temperature just right.
Right.
The Fujitsu system will solve those problems very easily.
Yeah, very smart. What about location, like the northern states?
We are very, very popular in the northern states and up in Canada, and for a couple of reasons. One, as I said before, many times there's not cooling in the home already. And yes, you don't need it many nights, but boy, those 20 or 30 summer nights where it's just sticky and uncomfortable, and it's nice to have the ability to sleep comfortably with a mini split system installed. So we get a lot of those. But the other side of it, JC, is we're now going to the heating side. Right. So our efficiency on heating coupled with our zoning make it very easy to replace the heating system you have. So some of the old boilers, some of the old gas furnaces that aren't quite as efficient and are pumping the fossil fuels into the air and getting more carbon footprint, we're able to go in with a heat pump, be very, very efficient, and cover the heating all the way down to the low northern temperatures that our system didn't used to be able to do. So now we have a great solution for heating and cooling for homes in the northern markets.
That's great.
So, in fact, in Canada, our big season in Canada is in the fall because it's a much more heating-focused market, and air conditioning is really secondary up there.
And with the heating, this is something that you can run right through the wall or the ceiling?
Absolutely. You have 3 different options. Well, actually, several different options. There's about 5 different ways you can run that unit. The refrigerant lines can come right through the wall, like we described before, a 2 or 3-inch hole, depending on the size of the unit. And you can mount the air handler on the wall. Another thing we're doing a lot with heating now is we have a floor-mounted unit that actually has the ability to blow the air across the floor as the heat rises. So something that keeps your feet warm is a pretty good deal. In the summertime, it actually switches and will blow air up, so the cool air will drop over you and not just cool your feet, but cool the whole room effectively. Some good options there. But we also can do ducted units, get the air exactly where you want it. If you don't want a wall unit hanging on the wall in that room, we can just do a register. Some of the other options include ceiling cassettes, which actually flush mount into the ceiling and just blow air 4 directions out of a square ceiling-mounted unit. It's much easier, and you see it quite often in suspended ceilings that you'd see in an office space, something like that. But there's also many applications in a drywall-type ceiling in a home, just to get it up out of the way. You don't have to see it, and it certainly takes care of the cooling and heating in that space.
Yeah, very interesting. As far as money saving?
Anytime you're getting the advantages of the efficiency levels and getting the added benefit of no duct loss, and the true zoning is where we see the biggest advantages. There are cases where we're seeing 30 and 40% utility bill drop when people go with these new systems. And to be fair, they're replacing old systems that if your air conditioner, when it was brand new, was 10 SEER or seasonal energy efficiency ratio. As they get dirty and wear out and the motors get older, you're lucky if you're getting a 6 or a 7 SEER efficiency rate. And then we're coming in with a 25 or 30, 33 SEER. There's significant savings then, and if it's designed properly and homeowners use it properly, it can save even more because of the zoning benefits.
That's great. As far as sound, let's say that I'm worried about my air conditioner, a window versus a sleeve unit, and then a mini split.
Yeah, it's a great question, JC, and it's something we get all the time. And the traditional question comes into hotel rooms. Quite often, if you spend any time in hotels, quite often the air conditioner is the worst part of the experience. The through-the-wall unit, or the industry calls them PTACs, packaged terminal air conditioning units, sometimes called the sleeve type like you talked about. They're loud, there's a lot of airflow, there's on and off cycles that are very loud, and they tend to create a pretty uncomfortable space. Window air conditioners use the same philosophy and quite often are rattling in the windows and making a lot of noise. So often it's not even the compressor or the fan, but it's just the rattling and the way they were installed. What we do a little bit differently is the loudest part of any air conditioning system is the compression. Tapping with the compressor and the condensing unit in a sleeve type or a window unit, that's all in that box. Everything's right there. So you're bringing all that noise right into the room. Right. What we do is we put that louder noise outside, then through refrigerant lines, or in the wall covered with architecturally pleasing coverings. You're able to get that noise outside. And on top of it, we designed them very effectively, so even the outdoor unit's very hard to hear running.
Really?
But then our indoor unit is very quiet, so we're down in the 30 decibel range where that's barely noticeable. We tried to record them recently in one of our showrooms, and the sound people who came in to do all the testing couldn't actually do the testing because 42 stories down there was traffic noise, and the traffic was louder than our unit.
That's great.
So we think that any of our units are very quiet inside, but those wall units, the ducted units, the cassette units, all are going to give you the comfort you want without any annoying noise to go with it.
That's excellent.
There's some new technologies happening in the ductless world that I wanted to share with you, JC, that are very interesting. And it's a trend we're seeing all across the country. One is to use our units with multiple heads. And what we mean by that is one outdoor unit and using 2 or 3 indoor units. So if you want to do the master and 2 other bedrooms in your upstairs, we can do that all off of one unit. That allows you a little bit more flexibility than with a traditional system. You still have zoning capability, you still have all that flexibility, but we're seeing a lot more multi-head systems. And the way that works is you run one set of lines to each of the 3 units, which is a good solution. It works very well. But we've expanded on that too, and now we're offering a product called Mini VRF, or Residential VRF. VRF is a technology that's been around for 25 years. It's very popular in commercial buildings where you have one outdoor unit and up to 64 indoor units. So think of a high-rise, you have one unit on the roof, and you're cooling multiple floors with that one unit.
Sure.
We brought that same technology to residential now, and we can have up to 9 units inside for 1 unit outside.
Wow, fantastic.
So if you think of your traditional house, you can do that whole house with one outdoor unit. And the nice thing about this system is it only has one set of lines coming in. So you have 2 pipes coming in, and it branches off and attaches to each of those units, and then we'll give each space exactly the amount of cooling or heating it needs. We use inverter technology in our compressors, which means essentially we invert the power to DC and then only give enough power to that compressor to match the load of all those systems. So if the house is only calling for 22,000 BTUs at 80 degrees outside, that unit outside is just going to deliver exactly what those units inside need. So a lot of flexibility, a lot of power savings, a lot of comfort, and very different than the technology we're using today in traditional systems where we're turning it on and off and just blasting all the cold or all the heat at one time, and not quite the most comfortable way to live. So we think we're making some real improvements there, JC.
And then we can be controlling each zone or each room with individual thermostat?
Yeah, absolutely. We do that in a couple of different ways. We have just a traditional remote control type thermostat, so you can set it on your nightstand by your bed or by your easy chair so you can adjust it from right there. Or we have traditional wall-mounted stats that you can use. Another option is central control. So you can have one place in the house or even on your iPhone control every zone in the house and keep tabs on it and set overrides so you have control over what's happening in the house, even if the kids decide they need it to be 32 degrees in their house. You can override that and make sure that sensible minds prevail in this case.
Funny. Very interesting. Well, if we wanted to learn more, Andy, where would we go?
The best place that you can go is ConstantComfort.com. That's the Fujitsu website. Again, ConstantComfort, all one word, .com. Or if you want to call and talk to somebody, call 888-888-3424. Again, that's 888-888-3424.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you, Andy.
My pleasure, JC. Anytime.
Okay, thank you.
That was some great information.
I love his reason for smartphone control, so sensible minds prevail when you're monitoring your system. I thought that was great. It's interesting, Fujitsu has a SEER of 33 on one of their units, and they have a system that will control up to 9 indoor units with 1 outdoor unit.
Wow.
And then I thought the motion sensor thing was pretty cool. It turns itself on and off automatically. But mini split systems are nice because you can have air conditioning plus the benefits of heating in that same system. You can either use the mini split system for air, for heat. You can use it as a dehumidifier or just run the fan.
Right.
You can actually improve the air quality. You get the energy savings and much more quiet compared to adding a window or a wall unit.
Let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, the Spotify mobile app, the Google Play Music app, iHeartRadio, and CastBox.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our books, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, on Amazon.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at FixItPodcast or Cindy at FixItCohost.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.